A WWE star has complained that they can't get booked. JBL has made his TNA debut, and Stone Cold Steve Austin has commented on a potential WrestleMania 41 appearance. Stay tuned for all the wrestling news. WWE seems to have a particularly core roster at the minute. They seem to have all the same names popping up and having regular... I feel it's been quite good recently, right? With following certain wrestlers on WWE TV, and they're consistently there.
Yep, agreed.
One name, though, that hasn't been there and has commented on this on social media is Tegan Nox. She took to Twitter and retweeted the promo of the upcoming women's speed tournament that's going on Twitter/X. I still can't get used to calling it X.
X doesn't
It doesn't work for me. But this is kicking off on September 4th. She commented, can't even get booked on a tattoo show, let alone entered into the speed tournament.
So she's not wrestled on WWE TV after her tag team with Natalia was seemingly dropped. She was drafted to SmackDown back in April, hasn't made an appearance since then, and I sort of assumed that she was hurt or something like that. Like she was drafted over, but she hasn't worked. I think it's a shame because I think she's really good. I think like as far as like babyface fire goes in the women's division, Tegan Nox displays that really, really well. I think she's very, very talented. Obviously, like she was with WCPW for a bit.
Yeah,
she was like the top women's babyface there.
Yeah,
she was really good, and that was what, like 8 years ago?
8 years ago, 2016-ish, and then obviously going back over to WWE, having the two really career-derailing injuries for quite a while.
Yeah,
it seems to have really hampered what was that babyface fire of like, oh, she's building up this character and getting to a certain point. It's a real shame that the main roster has just not translated well for her. We saw her come back not that long ago after being released, and then they've not really done much. I can't really remember much that she's done in this WWE run.
Here and there, and you know what? She seems like one of like Triple H's girls as well. You know, Triple H has his favourites. He's been very, very complimentary of her in the past. So it's surprising that she's not being used, especially just in like the speed tournament. Maybe they've got bigger plans. Maybe this is just a matter of we've got to be patient with everything. But it'd be good to see her do more because she is very, very talented.
I feel like if they had a mid-card title for the women, like an actual mid-card title that isn't like the tag division just chucking people together, that is exactly where she would be best utilized. And I saw someone mentioning it on Reddit the other day about how years and years ago Liv Morgan was the person that would have benefited from that mid-card title, and now she's obviously the world champ. Tegan is in that similar spot where if she just gets enough of a push, she could get to that next level. Yeah, for sure. I mean, NXT are doing it, obviously, and maybe that's like a bit of a beta test for a mid-card women's main roster title. That's something that I'd really like to see. I think it would... Because at the moment, for the most part anyway, over the last however many years, you've got the women's world title picture, women's tags sometimes featured on TV, sometimes not, and then not a lot else. They don't tend to get TV times for feuds that don't involve titles. So maybe that would help them out, but fingers crossed we see her on TV. Mentioning NXT though, I think she would benefit from a rundown in NXT as well. I was thinking about that, and maybe the reason that they haven't done that with her is because they've got planned, but maybe that's wishful thinking. Maybe. I don't know. Well, we've seen a lot of crossover NXT and TNA recently. Obviously TNA having Emergence last night. We saw the massive debut of JBL. Mental this. Oh my God. What is going on with JBL? He's having a very weird 2-week period or so. The last thing I expected. Anyway, following TNA World Champion Nick Nemeth's title defense over Josh Alexander in that 60-minute Iron Man match, which by the way is well worth watching, JBL came out from the back to eye down Nemeth. He whispers something to him in the ring, and then he left. This isn't the first time that we've seen JBL pop up in recent times outside of WWE. He was there with Nick Nemeth for his match against Alberto El Patron at Triple Mania, and then last weekend he made his GCW debut for some reason. Took out Effie in a 4-way ladder match, which allowed Mance Warner to pick up the win. JBL's having a very, very weird week. It's like he's just showing up wherever he pleases with the cowboy hat, the long trench coat. What is going on with JBL? Is he coming back to the ring?
I don't think so. I don't know. Obviously, like, this is the second time he's done something with Nick Nemeth, so maybe they bring him in as a manager or something like that. Is he just a bit bored not being on commentary?
Does anyone know he's going to show up? Does he just wander out?
He just got lost.
I'm here. I may as well walk out.
It was weird. So I expect this to play out on TNA TV. It's just like, if there's one person you don't expect to do this, I think it's really cool, by the way.
Yeah, it's really cool.
It's really awesome. But I have no idea where it's leading. And the fact that he's done GCW, now TNA, and maybe he'll pop up elsewhere in the not too distant future.
He got a pop, that's for sure. He did get a decent pop coming out. It's JBL, but
he's
I think
a big name.
People were quite confused at first.
Yeah, obviously. I'm still confused now.
JBL, if you're watching, tell us what you're doing.
Give us a ring. He's got Ross's number.
He loves Ross. Staying with TNA though, we had a TNA star legitimately knocked out last night on the TNA Emergence show. This was Alicia Edwards. In the opening moments of a match between Edwards, Masha Slamovich, and Ash by Elegance against Jordan Grace, Danny Luna, and Jody Threat, the heels were on the floor with Grace and Luna and Threat in the ring. Grace was thrown into Threat and then Luna onto the heels, at which point Edwards seemingly got knocked out.
Oh man, this was really, really rough. And you know what happened afterwards was more rough. Her teammates, I don't think, realised that she was legit knocked loopy, and they're trying to help her up, and necks flopping all over the place. Eventually, like, medical staff come out. Tommy Dreamer ends up helping her to the back, but it was a really, really scary situation that I don't think, unfortunately, was dealt with as well. I'm not blaming the performers or anything. I don't think they realised that she was knocked out. And fortunately, Jordan Grace got out there and I think sort of communicated it to them. It's like, no, stop touching. You don't do that. So there has been a few updates. Sean Ross Sapp posted on X that she seemed to be handling things okay backstage, and then TNA released a video fronted by Gia Miller, which said that, first of all, PCO also suffered a head injury that night, but he's doing okay. He's been placed under concussion protocols, and it's the same deal with the previous situation as well. So hopefully she's okay. It's good to hear that she was seemingly doing all right backstage, but it was a really, really nasty thing on an overall really great show. It seems
like it was a really, really good show, and it's just a shame that obviously injuries like that, obviously, as we mentioned in the previous video earlier today, injuries can happen, and it's a dangerous sport. Like, it's not, you're not going to come out of everything unscathed. Good to hear they're getting better, but we'll keep an eye on that one and make sure that they're okay going forward. But
she's great. Alicia Edwards, she's boss. Really good.
Going back though to AEW All In last weekend, we had a surprise debut return.
AEW in-ring debut
of one Nigel McGuinness. It got quite the pop.
Man, it was great.
I was buzzing for him, but Wrestling Observer Newsletter has given some little notes on that one, saying it was noted that McGuinness had been training for an in-ring return before shows and getting into better shape, but almost nobody knew that he'd be in the gauntlet as it was kept secret. Can teased an angle noting that all McGuinness has done was praise Christian on commentary and how Christian turned on him during the match. So there's a little bit there that you could feed into if they don't want to go and do the match with Danielson straight away. You could have the thing with Christian.
Yep,
I'd like it.
He looked the bollocks. The man, he looks the best he's looked ever.
He just needed the frosty tips.
Right. He looked amazing. I want to see more from him as well. I'm well up for a little program with Christian. It makes perfect storyline sense. Obviously, the dream is to see McGuinness and Danielson once again. He was just he was so good. He like no ring rust at all. He was absolutely class, and it's great to see him back in the ring doing what he loves doing. I don't know if this leads to anything super long term.
Yeah,
he's really useful behind the comms desk.
He's really good.
Great.
He's really one of the best they've got. I feel like if they're going to do this thing with Christian, and there's a really smart way to get him into that world title picture, with Christian having that contract, McGuinness wants it so he can beat Bryan Danielson. To make sure that's his quickest, because McGuinness
put the contract on the line.
Yeah,
and then Luchasaurus turns on Christian because he loves
McGuinness.
He
loves Guinness, and to have him turn on Christian there, and that because McGuinness realistically isn't getting a world title shot any other way. He's been out of action for so long.
No, they've got history. Brian, the super babyface. Hey, we've got history. Have a world title shot.
Doesn't like McGuinness. Doesn't like McGuinness. Either way, glad to see McGuinness back in the ring. I can't believe they kept it secret.
They did an amazing
Yeah.
job. The pop, as you say, bonkers.
Moving on now to finally some Stone Cold Steve Austin news, because I think it comes about this time every year, or in the next few months anyway, folks start going, is he going to be at WrestleMania this year?
Yeah, for the last 20 odd years.
Yeah, ever since maybe 2000, his retirement, right?
Yeah. So he's up for it. He was chatting away with Fox News, and he said, I said something about it this year just because it's 400 miles down the road. Convenient. I do spend several trips a year in Las Vegas, so to think that WWE's biggest signature pay-per-view event, Premium Live, please, Stephen, is 400 miles away in a state that I live in, that I'm going to be there, make a couple of appearances. I'll be promoting my beer. If they reached out and said, hey, maybe if you want to do something, I'd be happy to do it as long as it makes sense.
Yeah.
I rewatched once every like 3 months. I go back and watch the Kevin Owens match.
So cool.
And it exceeded expectations. I mean, we didn't even know that we were getting a match. Obviously, the speculation was massive that it was going to turn into something, but we didn't know the bell was going to ring. And then Austin's out there, they're on the floor, suplex. It's like, what?
It's like, what are you doing, Steve?
So good.
Steven.
So good.
That match does have a sort of special place for me, because he retired before I started watching wrestling properly. So that was the first Stone Cold match that I got to watch live.
Oh, really? Yeah, okay.
Never got to see him wrestle live. So it was really cool to have that, and it being in there with Owens. If he's coming back, who do we put him in the ring with? If he's having a match. If he's not, what do we want to see him do? I think a rematch with Owens, that would be fun.
I'd be up for
Randy
the rematch.
Orton, CM Punk.
Punk's the dream, isn't it?
Yeah.
Punk's the dream, but Punk's hands are full, aren't they?
Yeah, a little bit.
He'll be doing Seth.
Just get him stealing that bracelet.
Yeah, good point. Yeah, there you go. I don't know. It's weird. To be honest, with Austin, I don't really care. I just want to hear the glass shatter, and I want him to whoop some ass, stomp some mud holes, and drink some beer. There isn't a dream apart from CM Punk. That's the big one.
I'll throw a random name out there: Grayson Waller.
It's easy, isn't
Him and Grayson having the talk show.
You've buried Austin Theory there.
Who? Grayson's the great one of that tag team. But that is all we've got for you just now. Of course, tune in later on 4 p.m. for Bash in Berlin. Adam and Andrew on live reactions. We'll have what happened. We'll have all the usual stuff. So stay tuned to the channel, and we will see you later on.